Welcome to week 5, Grammar Essentials. Please pause this video to go through the learning outcomes. Punctuation. Please pause this video to read through the learning outcomes on the subject of punctuation. Looks familiar? What are these punctuations for? Please pause this video to read through this slide. The slide talks about the proper use of period and question mark. It also talks about indirect questions, which do not use question marks at the end. Also read about the use of exclamation points. Please pause this video to read through this slide. The slide talks about the proper use of hyphen in between words. Please pause this video to read through this slide. The slide talks about the proper use of a dash, which works as a colon, which adds to the preceding material but with greater emphasis. Please pause this video to read through this slide. The slide talks about proper uses of parentheses and brackets. Using a set of parentheses is like adding a side note, but is not really part of the main message. Using a pair of brackets can help clarify quotations. Please pause this video to read through this slide. The slide talks about how to properly use apostrophes. They can be used to demonstrate possession or as contractions. Please pause this video to read through this slide. The slide talks about how to properly use quotation marks. Quotation marks separate the dialogue from the rest of the text. They are also used to indicate direct quotes from another source. Please pause this video to read through this slide. The next slide is a continuation of the topic of using quotation marks. Please read through it and take some notes. Commas. Please pause this video to read through this slide, which are the learning outcomes when going through the topic of commas. Please pause this video to read through this slide. This slide talks about commas as separators. They're separators for transition words, descriptive phrases, and adjacent items. Please pause this video to read through the slide. The next slide talks about conjunctions and lists. Remember the mnemonic fanboys to remember the list of conjunctions: for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. When these conjunctions are used to join two complete ideas, a comma is required. Semicolon and colons. Please pause this video to read through this slide, which is a list of the learning outcomes for learning the topic of semicolon and colons. Semicolons are also called the connectors, connecting two independent clauses. First, a semicolon can connect two complete ideas. A complete idea is an independent clause, which has a subject and a verb and can stand on its own as a sentence, that are related to each other and or equal. The colons, on the other hand, are the signposts. The colon is like a sign on the highway, announcing that something important is coming. It acts as an arrow pointing forward, telling you to read on for an important information. A common analogy used to explain a colon is that it acts as a flare in the road, signaling that something meaningful lies ahead. Please read through this slide by pausing the video and read more about the use of colons. Complete sentences. Please pause this video to read through this slide. These are the learning outcomes for the topic of complete sentences. This is a class activity. You can do this with your peers in the class, or you can do this on your own. This is a non-graded activity. Class activity help on your campus. What do you do if you need help with your writing? Do you know where your campus writing center is located? What if you need help and you're an online student? These are some common questions you might have as you practice being a writer in college. With a small group, locate campus resources on your school's website and make a list of the URLs. Sentence fragments. Fragments are simply grammatically incomplete sentences. They are phrases and dependent clauses. These are grammatical structures that cannot stand on their own. They need to be connected to an independent clause to work in writing. So how can we tell the difference between a sentence and a sentence fragment? And how can we fix fragments when they already exist? A sentence fragment is simply a sentence that is missing one of its crucial elements, a subject, a verb, or a complete thought. One of the reasons we're writing fragments is because we often speak that way. Run-on sentences. Run-on sentences occur when two or more independent clauses are improperly joined. Often in a run-on sentence, the independent clauses are simply joined without any punctuation or coordinating conjunction. Another type of run-on that you've probably heard of is the comma splice, in which two independent clauses are joined by a comma without a coordinating conjunction and, or, but, etc. Common causes of run-on sentences. We often write run-on sentences because we sense that the sentences involved are closely related, and dividing them with a period just doesn't seem right. Here's a quick review of this week's lessons. Now that you have learned to recognize and resolve readability errors, develop a strategy for incorporating these skills into your writing process. Below are some guidelines for doing so. Revise for readability in the later stages of your writing process. In the early stages of writing, focus on your ideas. Leave time between drafting and revising for readability. Readability errors become more evident after you have stepped away from a project for a while and return to it later. Make proofreading editing a vital part of your writing process. The end.